And welcome everybody to episode number 100. Episode number 100 of the Average Man podcast. Man, that's a lot. I was going to do something special for episode number 100, but it hasn't quite played out like that. So, you're stuck with me. I'm editing. Sorry. Yeah, man. Yeah, look, it is what it is. I'm back in the van. I just had to check my audio because it was super duper echoey in here. But then I listened back to the replay and it doesn't sound too bad. I'm gonna have to sort something out, but sort of soundproofing wise in here because it sounds like I'm talking in an auditorium when I listen through the headphones, which is kind of a little bit off-putting. But I'm in the van. It's warm outside. It'll be 30 degrees today, but it's cold in the van. So anybody who knows that what I've been doing with this van for a while knows that means I've got my aircon sorted out. Yeah, so I've sorted out the windows on this thing. I've got the aircon sorted out in it now. Really, we're ready to hit the road and go for a little trip. So we'll have to do that soon. I'm on power still. So depending how we want to play that, I can go obviously do a powered site, or we can do an overnighter. Probably could get away with 2 nights on using the battery box, my angle fridge, my LED lights. We can get away with that. We've still got a nice, kitchen in here, and I cook on the Weber anyway. I've got heaps of cupboard space, the beds, it's all sorted out. So it'll still be, I think that's viable. We go away for maybe 1 night, 2 nights down to Cleaverville with the van and just use the battery box. So obviously I just want to have all the power in the van hooked up, so I won't be able to switch all the lights and the aircon on, but I don't really need aircon at the moment if you're not just sitting inside the van with the doors closed like I am today doing the podcast. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. It's another step in the right direction. And yeah, man, the van, got me a little rack I built on the back of the van, all sprayed up, looks nice and professional. I had a fella come around and do a cashy for us and install the aircon. He drilled about 4 holes in the wrong spot on my brand new rack that I built on the back of the van. That's okay, shit happens. It's an old van anyway, so we got there in the end, mate, and the aircon's on and it's freezing bloody cold. So it's a good step in the right direction. So look, man, it's good to be home. I was away for a couple of weeks with the family down in Perth, beautiful, sunny Perth. If you can't hear the sarcasm in my voice, it's, you should do, because it's virtually dripping with sarcasm. It rained every single day. It rained every single day. Well, yeah, they had some sort of record amount of rain. They broke the record since they've been recording rainfall, apparently, in Perth. Depends who you hear the story from, but that's what I've heard. I'll go with that one because it sounds more impressive. But it just rained every day, man, and squally winds, and there was a couple of torrential headland style downpours as well, which they're all freaking out down there. I was in the city for a few of those days on the course, on the builders and construction diploma course, and the city, sections of it flooded, underpasses under bridges and shit were flooding, and little hatchback numbers were trying to get through there, and water going up through their exhaust, and they were conking out with 50 cars behind them trying to get home from work I think it was on a Friday as well. So it was sort of pandemonium. I managed to miss most of that. I was in the classroom for the downpour. I did have to go out the front and put some more cash or swipe my card and get some more time on the parking meter out the front. And I got absolutely soaked. It was like a river, 1.5 inches thick, running down the street and just driving rain. And I was pretty much soaked through within a 2 or 3 minute foray out into the weather. But just the roads that I took to get from there back to the hotel room, I didn't really encounter any bad traffic, so that was good. But my missus was coming in from the freeway with her family. They were her parents were dropping her off there at the hotel room for us to have a little sneaky little dirty weekend away. Romantic weekend away, sorry, I should say. And yes, they saw people. They had to like find alternate routes to get to the hotel, and there was people broken down everywhere. And Ish told me a funny little story actually, that on one corner there was, like I said, a hatchback broken down in an underpass coming like on or off the freeway, one of the two, shitloads of traffic banked up behind it, like probably super stressful. There was a construction worker dude nearby who came out and helped direct traffic and get the car off the road and shit like that. And on the next intersection across, there was the cops out teaching the cadets how to do breathos, or the new intakes or whatever, how to do like breathalyzers. So they had like a bunch of cars banked up and like about 20 police officers out there all doing random breath testing. And on the next intersection down, there's pandemonium. There's construction workers fucking clearing traffic for them and sorting people out and shit. It's like, come on, you muppets, it's probably not the time for that right now. You guys are having a meltdown with the amount of rain coming down. So yeah, man, it pissed down every single day. But, you know, it is what it is. We were successful in the fact that, well, I got the classroom stuff out of the way. That's it for the whole course now, all the classroom shit. Now I've just got to do all my assignments, which, yeah, I've got to do them. I've got to do the assignments. I've got to get back into my routine and start smashing that out on the weekends. I just realised this morning when I was lying in bed that I was supposed to dedicate like a 4-hour block yesterday to doing that, and it did not happen. So anyway, the classroom stuff's done. It's just my assessments now. I might need to do a bit of face-to-face time with one of the instructors to get some clarity and some direction. But for now, that's a really good thing. No more disruptions as far as that goes. So that was successful. We had a couple of nights away in a hotel room together, the QT, where we stayed at Christmas time, which was cool, except more things were open this time around. We did have to wear a bloody mask for the first week back, which was super shit. We were like touch and go whether we were going to go down there for a little bit. That last week, I think, leading up, because that was all lockdown period that week, and it was going to open up on the Sunday, and we were leaving on the Saturday, so technically we would have been arriving on that Sunday. But we ended up spending an extra day in Geraldton at my mate's house there, and there was no lockdown or anything in Geraldton, so we stayed there and just hung out and got on the piers and had a bit of a good time there, and then cruised down on the Monday when things had opened up, but it was all like restricted numbers in venues, so a lot of places hadn't opened, and I think you had to order beers to get you had to order food to get beers, and I can't really remember. I might have lied there. I think that was the deal, but you had to wear face masks everywhere, and I've never had to do the face mask thing before. Hey, like being from up here in the Pilbara, it wasn't a thing for us. It was shit house. It was a bloody shit house. And you forget it. You hop out the car and you're fucking me mask, and you got to run back and get this fucking piece of cloth to put over your face again. Like, but you know, and the selectiveness of when you wear it and when you don't. Like, it's been, obviously there's a bunch of people who've had something to say about it, but it's like you can. So you walk into a crowded venue and you're lining up or whatever, you're doing your thing, or you're walking just around on the street like 20 metres away from the nearest person, you got to wear your mask on your face. Walk into a bar, they make you wear it up at the counter, up the bar while you're ordering drinks or whatever, you know. And went out to a couple of places in the city, and a few of them were really like, they were really excited about the fact they got to tell you, like, excuse me mate, put your mask up, like when you walk in there and shit. You're like, okay dude, sorry man, I didn't realise you'd really taken to this authoritarian sort of position you've been put into for a small period of time. But they're loving it. So yeah, you pull the mask up, and as soon as you order your drink, they pass it to you in your hand. You've got a drink now. You can pull the mask down and go sit next to 40 other people in a small cramped area and fucking cough and sneeze and sweat all over each other, and it's all good. But as long as you're walking around with your mask on. You walk into the shopping centre, mask everywhere you go. Shops are like give you a dirty look and, excuse me, can you put your mask on? If you walk in and don't have it on for whatever reason, grab yourself a coffee. You walk around the coffee and you fucking hand your mask down around your neck, because you can't spread COVID when you've got a coffee in your hand, you know, or when you're eating. You just can't. It just doesn't spread. This is bullshit. And yeah, that was shit. So that was for the first week, and then they cleared that up on the weekend. But we'd done all our like going to the city, going out on the piers and all restaurants and all that sort of shit. We'd done a heap of that with the friggin' masks on, and then they pulled them off for the last week that we were there, which was good, don't get me wrong. Excuse me, I just need a quick sip of water. I'm going to say water, unless you're watching the YouTube video, we'll just say it's water. I would not be drinking beer before before lunchtime on a weekend. I promise. So yeah, that was pretty shit ass, and I didn't do any exercise the whole time either, because like I usually when I go away, I used to be obsessed. I got to get to the gym and get my training in while I'm down there. And as the kids have got older, it's become more of a hassle and more stressful. So then I kind of have just settled for running. I try and run like every second day when I'm on holidays. Give myself a little bit of a break, but it just keeps my fitness level up and gives me something to get up for in the morning and keep feeling motivated for the rest of the day, because you feel good when you exercise, you know. I didn't do anything this time for a whole 2 weeks, and I couldn't tell you the last time I did that. Did not exercise at all for 2 weeks. I reckon that would be before I had kids, so like 7 years ago at least. Before and probably before that. So it was a big chunk of time without me doing anything. I haven't been injured for 2 weeks where I couldn't train. I haven't had any time like that off at all whatsoever. So. And it was just because it was raining every day. It was windy and it was shitty, and just did not feel like going out and exercising. So I didn't. So I didn't exercise for 2 weeks, which was, you know, I guess it's good to give the body a rest and all that. But the reality is, I was eating shitty food, drinking heaps of piss, and not shitty food, but just eating too much food, and definitely got an issue with the old chocolate at the moment. It's just like I can't kick. But yeah. Eating shitty food, drinking heaps more piss than normal, not working out, and then to come back here this week, and it's been a bit of a struggle getting back into the swing of things. Even though I was actually pretty keen to get back to Headland, I was like, all right, done with this trip, holiday, ready to go back to work, ready to make some money. It wasn't like, miserable, depressed, go back to Headland, go back to work. No, I was ready for it, but came back here and just was just, oh man, work's a little bit slow, so I didn't have anything super exciting to motivate me work-wise. There's enough work on, but it's kind of, it's just ticking along, which I don't really enjoy. I like when it's flat out. And then I'll moan about that. It's so flat out, so busy. You got to have something to whinge about. So, but yeah, so it's just been slow, man. I went to the gym only twice this week. A couple of those were me being lazy. A couple of those were for unforeseen reasons that just I couldn't get there because shit happens. It was out of my control. But yeah, man, it's been a slow week, so I need to hit it a little bit harder this coming week. But it was still good to go down there, and we stayed at the in-laws' house, Faye and Tony, and that was good to see them. They're going through a rough patch, man. They've had a rough year. So my mother-in-law, my wife's pop, he died this year, and then my father-in-law's mother, so my wife's nan, she died very recently and sort of kind of suddenly. I mean, she was old, but like she didn't have any terminal illness or anything like that. She died sort of suddenly. And then they went on. They were on holiday at Exmouth when Tony's mum died. So that's shit house for them. And then Faye fell off the caravan step and broke her foot on like the first day of the trip. So she's in a fucking moon boot. So that sucks. Then when we got down there, their dog's just had this operation for something going on with his bladder. It's some gallstones. It's a bladder, kidney stones, whatever, little stones that you block up your urethra. Had those removed, and when they were in there, they found some suspect lump on his prostate, which may or may not be cancer. And this cost them $5,000. This procedure, plus the time off work and looking after the dog, and they didn't do everything properly. The vet at the emergency care didn't take biopsies when they were in there and noticed something suspect. So it's kind of, the whole thing's been pretty shitty for them. And then while we were down there, Tony's best mate died as well. So yeah, his mum, her dad, his best mate, dogs possibly on the way out. Like, that's a pretty shit house first half of the year. So it was good to be down there with them and catch up with them and help, just catch up, have a beer and a yarn, and hopefully not get in the way too much. And but yeah, really feel for those guys. So it's good to be around people that you care about when they're having a shitty time, especially if you're not at work. You got a little bit more time to just sit back and have a chat and and just listen. So that was rough, but good to see them, man. And speaking of that, not exercising for 2 weeks, I don't know who else who listens to this is a member of Life and Soul. And I love Life and Soul, great gym. I'm not going anywhere else. But you don't have to send me messages randomly saying, congratulations, you trained 137 times or whatever it is. Great work, Dave. Oh, that's super patronising to me when I read that. I'm a fully fledged, like nearly 38-year-old man. I don't need pats on the back and little congratulatory messages for training. Thanks very much, Life and Soul. I appreciate the idea, the concept, it's all there, but I don't need that. It's super patronising when I read those. So you can keep those messages, and they seem just super generic too. Like it's obviously just like generated, computer generated or whatever. So I don't need the messages. Thanks very much, especially when I'm not even training. Speaking of souls, that is one thing that was hard to transition back into after 2 weeks away from work and all the politics that go along with contracting for BHP. Is just like how soul destroying it is to get back in there. First day back, I sat like 4 hours of online training for a new project we got coming up. We had to bump up our online training matrix, and sitting there through this shit. A lot of them I've done before as well, just going, oh my goodness, it's a company designed on being a wanker. It's so much bullshit. Not going to shit on the people that work there, because people are just people and they just work where they work. But the fucking bullshit you have to sit through and listen to and like you got to zone into it, or you've got to buy into it on some level to be able to stomach it, to be able to go out there and work in this environment. It's soul destroying, man. It just chips away your soul a little bit more at a time. And then someone asks you some ridiculous, unimportant bullshit question about something they made up on the spot, or did some sort of fucking training for, during the week, and they think it's super important, and it's just not. And you just have to pretend that it is, and it is fucking just... Like, you get used to it when you hear all the time, day in, day out, all right, whatever, yes, no worries, play the game, fucking jump through the hoops, yeah, mate, yeah, it's really important what you're doing, yeah, fucking love your work. And then you have a break from it, and you come back, and it's like, fuck me, this is some bullshit, man. So that was interesting getting used to again. I'm good with it by the end of the week again, but it's just so, I made note of it at the start of the week, the comparison, the contrast, from just being a normal human, living a normal life, thinking about normal things. Well, I don't think about normal things because I'm a weird person, but thinking just about my normal things, what's normal to me, and then coming back and having that kind of shit thrust back in your face, and it's all so important. It's super, super important that we do this. And you're like, yeah, man, yeah, fucking sure, no worries. Anyway, the world of BHP, they're a fucking breed of their own. And again, talking about the culture at the company, not the people. Love you guys that work at BHP, man. Some is. I'm sure there's some fuckwits there. Look, man, I was supposed to do something special for my 100th episode. I always planned to, but you know what happens in life? Sometimes life just keeps happening. Shit happens. There's actually a scientific law. Sods Law. There's a full-blown fucking scientific theory about that. I was just listening to Stephen Pinkerman's Enlightenment Now the other day. It was super hard to listen to. I have not committed to it. I don't know if I'm going to finish that book, but I did listen to a few chapters of it, and it's way more likely that shit is going to happen than what you want to happen is going to happen, because chaos is all ensuing, and the right course of action is a small little line that cuts through the chaos. So you've got way more chance of shit happening than something good happening or positive happening. That is a super lame excuse for me not organising anything to do for the 100th episode of this podcast. So if you saw straight through it, don't worry. I knew it was bullshit when I was saying it. But yeah, man, I didn't organise anything. I didn't. And yeah, you know, I've only let myself down, haven't I? I've only let myself down. But I do have a few guests sort of teed up for the near future. I've been saying that all fucking year. My goodness, it's been a shocker of a year for this podcast, man. I am dragging it through the mud to get to the other side. I'm not giving up on it. I'm fucking not. But look, I've got Devon, a singer-songwriter from Perth, who I bumped into on the internets, on the interwebs. recently. He's new to town. He's I hooked him up with Brad from Pilbara, from PPC production company, and he's going to be doing a gig down the Yachty on either the 8th of August or the weekend after. So I'm going to get him on the podcast. He does some vocals for a hip hop dude down in Perth as well. So we're going to get him on, have a chat about music and about making music and about just have a yarn about what he's doing. I liked his work, and he seemed very enthusiastic. So yeah, I'll have a yarn with old mate Devon and tee that up pretty soon. I need to get my mate Robbie back on. He's got a family and a full-time job just like myself, so we will make it happen eventually. But we want to talk about the artificial reefs and the fads that they've been trying to get happening here off the coast in Headland. So that's like, there's things happening in the background about that. Like, it's actually, the proposal had been done last year, sometime sent in. It's got some community interest. There's been Wreckfish West up here chatting and interested, and there's some funding there for it. Just needs to, anyway, I'll let Robbie explain it all. So that's on the cards, that we need to get that one happening soon. And also Bobby Lockyer, who we were meant to do a podcast a couple of times, and then she's got some shit going on. We had school holidays and everyone's busy, and she's also got some other important shit going on outside, so of her career and media and everything. So it's just on hold for now until she's ready to come in and tee it up and have a yarn. So I do have some shit coming up. But for episode 100, which is named, I forgot now, what song did I use? It Was a Sin. I didn't even introduce the podcast properly. For episode 100, it was a sin. It was a sin to not fucking organise anything proper for this 100 episode, and you've just got me to listen to. But that's all right. I've got some shit to talk about anyway. So, look, I have had very few guests on this year. The year is flying. It's bloody end of July already. EFI. The fuck? When did that become a thing? Fucking, like, I know the end of financial year has always been a thing, but when did it become a fucking saying? EFI. Fucking ads all over the TV. Sorry, I need to curb my language on this episode. I've noticed I am dropping too many F-bombs, and I am going to self-chastise and rein it back in. Sorry, Mum, if you're listening. Probably is, because they just drove up from Perth during the week, and they listen to podcasts when they're doing long distances. So I should probably listen to it on the way back down to Perth and be like, oh, David. So sorry, Mum. Love ya. EFI. Yeah, stupid saying. But it is end of financial year, so man, it is flying through the, and I haven't even been camping yet. The van is ready now, as I said, and I did buy the new swags I've been yarning on about down in Perth when I was down there. So we've got the Dunes, an Outback double XL and an Outback single XL. So they got like the system with like the 3 flexi poles that go head, middle, feet, that keep the swag off you, and a full length fly, and you get window at the top and bottom and all that sort of shit. Really good quality canvas, PVC bottom. So I'm keen to get those out, probably do a boys camping trip first with like a couple of mates and their kids and their sons, and go out and do a bit of a fishing overnighter or 2-nighter or something like that. Keen to get that happening. But also I've got to get one of the swags replaced, man, because I got back to Perth, pulled him out of the box, set him up on the lawn like the second day back. He's got to water and the canvas in when you get new swags, so you soak them a couple of times out in the sun, let them dry, and the canvas swells up around the stitching, and it's sort of just any little pinprick holes or weaknesses that you got through the canvas, then sort of fill in, you weather them, And I was out on the lawn weathering the swags, and then when I zipped up the single XL, the zip like come apart, like when you got a shitty zipper and you zip it, and where it's supposed to be zipped behind the zip, that's still open. Well, it started doing, it bloody, there we go, bloody, I'll start saying bloody instead. I've got a foul mouth today for some reason. It bloody started opening up again. And it would only happen, not every single time, like once out of every 5 or 6 times it would stay open, and I was like, that's not a good sign for a brand new swag that'll want to last like 10 years. So I've been in contact with Anaconda, who've been, may I just say, very tardy in sorting the situation out. Called them, run around on the phone, finally got someone to listen to me and take it seriously. Sent them some photos, email. They replied like 4 days later saying, "Oh, it's going to be hard because you're up in Port Hedland." And I said, "That's what I said. I know. I'm the one who brought the fact that I don't live there, and I've got this dodgy swag that I just bought, and I've got the receipt for it. Sent it to you. Haven't used it yet. Brand new. What are we going to do about it?" And they're dodging around the point. So and I've chased them up. I actually need to chase them up again today, because I wrote back to them and said, "Look, man, what do you want me to do? I'll take you a video of the swag operating, or you've already got photos of it. Need to get it happening. I actually want to use the swag. I actually want to, just spend a couple $100 on this thing. I actually want to go out and use it soon. So it'll be nice to come get to some sort of solution pretty soon." And they haven't replied, so I'll be chasing those anaconda dogs up soon. And try and get to the bottom of that. I'm sure they'll sort it out. They're just, people are people, and people are sometimes super unreliable. So chase that down the rabbit hole and see how far it goes. Speaking of rabbit holes, I've been lost in a rabbit hole lately because we are selling the Prado, which is such great fun, selling cars in the private market. I hate it. I went down and got it priced for a trade-in while I was down in Perth, and they want to give me like mid-20s. I want mid-30s, and he admitted that that's probably reasonable, especially up here in the market up north. So I've got to clean it up, keep it clean, get it serviced again, get it out on Dreamer's Corner and all the Facebook pages, and talk to people and deal with people, and try and keep it clean, get it there. And we live in Port. It's bloody annoying. Life's super hard, isn't it? So we got to do that. Start looking at that, because we're going to buy a Ranger, man. We're in the market to buy a Ranger. Ford Ranger. I was looking at Hiluxes, sort of did a bit of research on that, looked at some review videos on Hiluxes versus Rangers, started seeing a few Rangers around the place, actually thought they looked pretty mean, started reading out into the specs and the reviews and everything on them and the comparisons, and they actually are pretty mean, drive better on the road, heaps more room inside, I think they look nicer. Maybe not as good off-road, straight out the box as the Hilux, but there's things you can do to beef them up a little bit. So I'm kind of 100% sold on the idea now, and I've been going down the rabbit hole searching for a brand new. I'm talking brand new, maybe a showroom one, like with 4,000 or 5,000 Ks on the clock, 6 months old, maybe a year old, something like that. Maybe depends if it weighs up and it's worth it and what we save. But basically, brand new sort of a Ranger, and then the second part of that plan is to rip the tub off the back and put a canopy on it. And that started out as a $5,000 or $6,000 $5,000 or $6,000 exercise, but soon become more like a $20,000 exercise, depending on how far we go down that rabbit hole, as I mentioned. So look, the wife mentioned that she doesn't want this thing to look like a tradies ute with just a big toolbox on the back, and I happen to agree with her, especially since we're going to be spending 60 grand on a car at least. So then you start looking at different finishes, and then you start looking at the way they sit them on the back of the ute. You want something that builds a tray and a canopy together, and then you start looking at the different setups, the way the doors all work, how they look, the engineering of them, like how they're weighted and what kind of extras you get, the fittings you get for them, all this kind of stuff. You start going in the rabbit hole, and it's like, man, I'm pretty well far down this track now, and I could get out of it for 20 grand install with basically nothing in it, and then get all the wiring done here in Headland, or I could get a package where they give me the drawers and the slides and all the wiring and everything done, set up, fit, installed, ready to bloody chuck your shit in it and take off road for like 27 grand. So we're sort of, we're on that pathway at the moment, seeing how far down that track we're going to go, and how we're going to juggle the funds to meet these requirements. So I'm basically obsessed with it at the moment. I'm on every different website. I've got about 8 different websites open at one time. I'm emailing dudes like left, right and centre, getting quotes and having conversations, and harassing people I see out and about. I'm seeing the canopies that drive past me. I'm like, oh, that guy's got a good setup. I'm thinking of like tracking him down to the servo and having a yarn with him while he's filling up. And there's a dude pulled up across the road from me at the neighbour's house in a brand new Ranger XLT model, which is like the sort of top of the range standard ones before you get into the wild tracks and the Raptors and all that sort of shit, which is kind of what I'm looking at getting. I was tossing up between the XLT and a wild track. You get a few more extras on and creature comforts in the wild track. Went over and had a look at this dude's ute and started having a chat to him. And we don't have a Ford dealer here, so there's not a big selection of cars to look at to figure this out if you're just online. Went through the car with him. He lifted the hood. He was chatting to me. It's his second brand new Ranger in a row. This old dude, he loves him, rates him. Sitting there in the cab, feeling the hands on the steering wheel and the gear stick, getting a feel for it and how the leg room and everything works in there. Talking about a few of the sort of recommended extras you'd get straight out the gate on this thing. So yeah, man, we kind of, like I said, went pretty far down that rabbit hole, and I'm sort of obsessed with it at the moment. It's got a whole lot of thing about, and I'm on online studying it, harassing dudes as I see them around the place. And with the canopy, the other thing that's stitching me up a little bit is that I want a dog box incorporated into it, a self-contained dog box that's obviously, so the rest of the canopy is separate for dog hair purposes and waterproof, but then you need ventilation into the dog box section, so possibly two doors on one side. Yeah, it starts getting pretty complicated to get everything you want done and sorted and do it all over the line via email and then try and tee it up. Do I get that done straight out the gate when we buy the new Ranger, or do I just buy the Ranger, get the bloody thing up here, then sort the canopy out later and have to drive down to Perth and get it done again? So I don't know, a lot of moving parts. It's keeping me interested anyway, keeping me busy anyway. Someone's calling me on the phone, so I'm just checking to see if they're at the front here or not. Back into it. So yeah, and this is all a reasonably new revelation that we're going to buy a car and get a loan, because I really wanted to own everything. This was my trip for a few years I was on, that wanted to have no outstanding debts and save up all our money, sell the car, get something cheaper that we could buy outright, and get the money in the bank and buy the caravan outright and do this whole trip around Australia without any outstanding debts, because we don't have a house to sell and make $100,000 on and then buy our shit with that extra, extra money that we had as equity in the property or anything like that. We're sort of starting from scratch. We did really poorly on the housing market. I bought a house, borrowed $400,000 for it, sold it 8 years later for $400,000. So, and after starting a business down Perth, working on one wage, and hard times, a lot of lessons learned during that period. But basically we came back up to Headlands and started from scratch. So we're kind of 3 years back in from zero at the moment. So I don't have much behind me. Got bugger all behind me. Only the money I got in the bank now, and we wanted to keep building on that, do everything without any loans. But it's just the dream. This year has been an expensive one, and we have not gone forward as far as the dollar figure in the bank. We've done that money's been used for specific things we've got the caravan, which is towards the dream. I've still got a camper trailer sitting in my yard that I haven't been able to get rid of, which is money that's tied up. But I've paid for the builder's diploma this year, which was a last sort of last minute decision. And then flights down to Perth for that, missing work and all that sort of shit. So that's, it's been quite, and the missus had to fly down to Perth a few times for unexpected things. So this has been an expensive year for us. We haven't moved very far forward. And I'm just like, if we're going to get this show on the road before the kids get too old, then we've got to do some shit, man. Got to invest in the dream. So that's what we're doing. We're investing in the dream. I don't have any other outstanding loans. I don't have any big credit card debt or anything like that. So this is going to be our debt. This is going to be our house, that we're investing in, basically. We need to get this loan, pay it up double for the next 18 months. so that we've got a bit of time up our sleeves when we go around. I'll worry about the caravan plan next year. Just need to get this car and ute sorted, ready, get it out on the road doing small trips, weekenders, a couple of week trips here and there. I'd like to hit Kununurra next year, get the system tested, whittle down what we take with us, so we're getting better at traveling, because we're like the friggin' what are they called? You know, Chevy Chase, those movies, National Lampoons, the Griswolds. We call ourselves the Gris Robinsons when we travel. It's mostly, I'm going to say it's mostly the missus. Definitely the stuff that's in the car is mostly the missus. You know, like we've got a fridge in the back, 2 dogs in the back, so that's the Prado, the storage in the back gone. There's a couple of drawers below for small bits and pieces, recovery kit and some tools on one side, and not, you know, there's a little bit of gear on for room for some other gear on the other side, and then you're on the roof rack with shit in tubs, and the missus puts so much stuff in the car, blankets and pillows and too many iPads, and then drawing kits, and then other stuff for the kids, and it's like this is insane. It's incredible what we take with us. So we need to sort that out and have a few, you know, maiden voyages, and then start getting a system together, and we'll have the canopy on the back, so the dogs will be in there, fridge will be in there, there's drawers and storage and all sorts of shit, and just need to get better at traveling. So, and we need to make that start happening. You know, like if I invest money into this thing, I'm going to be way more compelled to just keep driving ahead and getting out there. So, because the big problem for us at the moment is when we go away anywhere, like we've got to pack the car from scratch every single time. It's, you know, it's not a super comfortable, easy getaway for us, and then there's unpacking, cleaning everything at the other end, and to do that for a day or a couple of day trip, it deters us, is what I'm saying, basically. So this is all about investing in the dream and making things easier for us, so that we're far more compelled to get out there and start doing this shit. Yeah, because this is a massive undertaking that we're 100% set on. So yeah, that's where I'm at now with that whole thing. Yeah, I hope I didn't ramble on about the ute for too long then, but it's fully my head's full of freaking canopies and utes and ranges and setups and camping and all this kind of shit at the moment. So I just had to vomit that out through my face mouth hole for a second now. Yeah, man, look, I'll touch on a couple of things in town briefly as well. There's a bunch of extra food vans around at the moment, I've noticed. I think there's a burger joint coming to town soon, and there's obviously we've had the Spinifex Carnival in town this weekend, which we went to last night with my daughter Heidi and her friends, and my mum and the girls' mums as well, because Shady was at a sleepover at his friend's house last night. Sleepover that he didn't actually stay for, because he was I don't know, he called us at like 9 o'clock saying he wanted to come home. He wasn't comfortable, he wasn't feeling it, so we went around, picked him up. There was like 7 or 8 dudes sleeping over at this one birthday party, and I think that's too many people for him. He's like more of a small group person like myself, so I understand where he was coming from. Kid's only 7 years old, man. So we went and picked him up, brought him back home. But we were supposed to we went to the carnival because he was supposed to be having a sleepover. It was pretty cool. We could see the fireworks from out the at the front of our house. We watched that while the kids were in bed last night. Well, he was still out, but Heidi was in bed. Yeah, obviously a bunch of food vans there. Carnival was cool. It's great to get out. Kids love all that shit. I think there's the Finacle next weekend maybe in Karratha. So we'll see how we go. I might even travel down there for a day. I don't know. But the Finacle was obviously coming up soon as well. They're doing the yacht club car park works at least now, you know, so there's some shit happening for the marina, I should say, the marina works. So there's some the needle's moving a little bit on that, which is nice and interesting. Look, there's heaps of bloody nomads in town at the moment. I mean, there's heaps of nomads. There's no food because they take all the meat and all the fruit and clear out all the cheese and cured meats and all that sort of shit. So there's none of that, but there's plenty of nomads in town at the moment. So as I said, I took advantage of one yesterday and jumped on him and sat in his Ford Ranger and spoke to him about it for 20 minutes. So, you know, you make use out of them, the old geezers. They've been around, they know a thing or two. So that's going on at the moment. I've got my daughter's birthday coming up soon. We just decided this morning we're going to have a little party, probably down at the yacht club. That way we don't have to bring all the food, clean everything up ourselves. Adults can have a beer. You can just make a bit of a mess, pack up your general shit, and skedaddle out the door afterwards. So that'll come up soon. We'll sort that one out. Oh, my little daughter at the moment, actually, I should get this one off my chest as well. There's a kid in her class. Obviously not going to name any names. There's a kid in her class, and she's in daycare with this kid as well, boy, and he's been hitting her and like tripping her over and pushing her over and stuff like that. And she was telling me about it for ages, but because she's so young, well, she's much better at communicating now. At the start of the year, she wasn't very good at communicating yet, so there wasn't a coherent story that I was getting from her. And she's not scared of him; she's still friends with the kid. So I was like, I don't know if she's just talking shit or if this is really happening. And then the stories kept coming, and then I asked Shady about it. He's like, oh yeah, that kid hits people. And I was like, oh, okay, right, so this is happening. And then I seen him do it. I went to pick up my daughter from school, my beautiful little, gorgeous little four-year-old blonde-haired, blue-eyed, red-lipped, fucking angel of a daughter, right? And I don't pick her up often. I drop her off, but I don't get to pick her up from school often. I pick her up from daycare. So it was a special little moment. Go see my daughter in her classroom there. Her little face lights up when she sees me at the door. She gets up off the mat, comes running over to me, and this kid sticks his leg out, kicks her legs from underneath her, and she goes smack, face first on the ground, and just starts bawling her eyes out. And I was just like, what? Give him the stink eye, did I? Did I ever? And I was just like, what? Like, looking at the teachers like, what's with that, man? And they're, oh, yeah, no, you can't do that. Unnamed child. And I'm like, oh, I grab my daughter, I'm walking out, and I've since spoke to the teacher about it, I spoke to the daycare about it, I went to put in a complaint to the principal about it, because nothing's happening. And there's the same thing in this system now, the way things are, that the kids that are acting out like that are protected. They can't do anything to them. Like, oh, we can't punish them. You know, we can't make them sit in a naughty corner. We can't make them miss out on any activities. It's all got to be positive reinforcement. So the kid that's hurting other people and bullying gets protected, and my little 4-year-old princess can't be protected while she's at daycare or while she's learning. And it's like, well, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? She's supposed to be looking after her. And I never thought I'd be in this situation, whereas if it was my boy, we'd have a different conversation. It's like, dude, you got to look after yourself. The teachers aren't going to help you. I already knew that. I've known that my whole life. And I've always said that you get bullied, you got to punch someone in the face, right? That's just the way it is. No, don't hurt people, you tell the teacher. Teachers do nothing. They don't. They never have. It doesn't stop it. Someone bullies you, smack them in the face. If they're bigger than you, doesn't matter. Smack them in the face anyway. I was going to say hit him in the face with a stick. I probably shouldn't be promoting that. Hit him in the face anyway, right? I've been beaten up at school before, and then fought the same kid again the next day when he mouthed off at me again. And pretty soon they stop fighting you anyway, because they don't want to pick on someone that's going to punch them, even if they're stronger than you. They don't want to pick on someone that can that's going to punch back, right? They want an easy target. But it's my little girl. I don't expect her to fight boys. This is a completely different story. It's a different scenario. So I'm trying to get him, my boy, to sort this kid out. I'm like, dude, when you see him, you bail him up. When there's no one looking, bail him up. And just say, hey, don't touch my sister, mate. Keep your hands off her. Keep your hands off Heidi. It's my sister. And he's like, oh, no, I can't, Dad. You know, he's 7 years old, man. He doesn't want to be fighting, and I understand. And it's a shit situation to put a little kid into, but something's got to happen. The teachers aren't going to look after her. I can't smack the kid. The parents are aware, there's conversations going on. It's not like they don't care, but they're just ineffectively dealing with it, you know? And my daughter is in the receiving end of it. So I'm like, Shady, mate, you've got to step up, look after your sister. But then the other problem is, when they're around all the big kids and everything, it doesn't happen. It's when they're in the smaller groups and the younger kids. So when he's interacting and Heidi's there where Shade is, it doesn't happen. So he doesn't ever see it happen. He just, it's an isolated event. But I'm like, dude, you're going to get in there and sort this out. He's like, I'll get in trouble, Dad. I'm like, you know what? You might get in trouble from the teachers, but you won't from me. Plus, I also found a loophole. I'm thinking, hang on, if they can't punish kids and this kid can't get punished for smacking my daughter, then how can they punish my son for smacking him? It's a smack-free environment. You just smack him upside the head, and if they say anything, go, hey, man, you can't punish him. You can't. You can't. there's no consequences around here. You can smack my 4-year-old daughter and nothing happens, so surely we can smack him back and nothing happens. Let's all just hit each other. You can't do anything about it. So clearly I'm frustrated about that. And I need to get it off my chest because I'm lost what to friggin' do here, man. But I can't have this kid smacking my daughter around all the time. And she's, like I said, she's not scared of him. She thinks they're friends still. Sometimes they're friends, sometimes he hits her. I'm like, and she thinks that's normal. And I'm like, that's actually probably worse than being scared of him. That's not normal. That's not okay. You can't be normalizing that shit in your life and think that's okay. So that's an issue in itself. So I'm lost what to do with that one, man. It's stressing me out at the moment. I just feel like grabbing the kid and just swinging him around by his legs and just throwing him up over the sand dunes and into the ocean. But one, I'm not a cartoon character, so it wouldn't work. And two, I'm pretty sure that's super illegal. So my hands are tied at the moment. Look, I better get out of here soon, man. I know I've got to go help out with the missus and the kids and everything to give me a bit of time to get this sorted out today. So I'll quickly run through some media that I've been hitting lately. We started the song out with, I didn't write it down so I keep forgetting it, but it was A Sin, which is by a band called the Revivalist, and I just found these dudes like 6 weeks ago, a month ago. And I'm all up on them, man. I love them. I love their vibe, love their style, really good songwriting. I feel like I just should have known about them years ago. So check those guys out. They're really good. I guess they're kind of like soul, bit bluesy, rootsy kind of feel to them. Really, really good, beautiful voice and great songwriting, and they build up some high energy numbers and some real sort of low down ballady, emotional type numbers, sort of like the one that we are entered with. So check the Revivalists out. Saw the Space Jam movie, the new one with LeBron James, while we're down in Perth with the kids. That was awesome. I mean, I'm slowly coming around to the fact that, Michael Jordan, we grew up with him, he's a legend, I absolutely love him. I've always got his back whenever it comes up, who's the GOAT situation. I just always have. I wear Air Jordans. I used to watch his videos as a kid, and it was amazing what he did. But I mean, if there's a difference between, LeBron's more decorated. He's playing against probably better athletes, and he's arguably better is what I'm saying, okay? And it's great that he got his own movie and they reference Michael Jordan in there, and so it's just great that he's been recognised fully now by the culture, like, he already was, but immortalised in film now as well. He's got his own Space Jam movie. You got Jordan, you got LeBron James, I think it's just a who do you prefer, LeBron James or Michael Jordan? I'm always going to prefer Jordan, but LeBron James is a bit of a dude, man. He's a likable guy. He's also obviously super dedicated, super successful, super athlete, and he did a good job. I liked it. It was a good show, a good movie. We watched Black Widow while we were down there, which is another one of the Marvel ones. That was pretty good. I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it again. It's just a whole lot of action, but the story was pretty good. A little bit convoluted for the kids. Shady had no idea what was going on anytime except for when they were fighting, basically. It was confusing, so fair play. But that was pretty good, interesting, nice and funny, mixed with good action. So check the Black Widow out if you want. What's that one say? Can't even read Turner and Hooch. I started watching the Turner and Hooch show on Disney with Shady this morning. So it's a remake of obviously the 80s movie Tom Hanks, Turner and Hooch. Nowhere near as good, but good enough to watch. I'll keep watching that one because nostalgia, and who doesn't love a cop dog buddy movie? Come on, or show, whatever. Come on. So it's a TV series, Turner and Hooch. Check that one out. Watched one last night. I haven't finished. It was called Embattled, which is like an MMA movie starring Steven Dorff, and basically he's a dad who's an MMA fighter. He's a champion. His son starts fighting. They have a fallout because the dad's actually a real piece of shit, and the son and the dad have to fight each other. That's a real simplified version of the story. Sounded corny when I read it. Watched the preview, looked pretty interesting. Read some reviews on it, and it was kind of basically what I thought when I watched the preview. That is, it's quite a nuanced, complicated story, and even though there's some super cliches in there, it's a weird sort of idea, it's actually done really well. There's some good drama in there, some great emotional sort of deep kind of scenes in it as well, and it was quite a complicated movie, so worth a watch. The biggest thing that they fucked up was they were talking about huge amounts of money. They did go into the whole fighters not having a union and being ripped off by the company, but then this guy's making like 50 million to fight, and no one in MMA makes 50 million to fight. Not even Conor McGregor, not in the UFC. He did that fighting outside the UFC. He makes big money in other ways, but he doesn't get paid 50 million to fight. So they'll just way off with their paychecks. That and what else am I doing? The startup we were watching for a while, but I'm sort of dropping off that at the moment. And the Grin Reapers podcast. If you don't listen to Grin Reapers, it's Chris White from the Tension videos from back in the day in the 90s. If you're into that, and he's got a podcast with another comedian fella, Buddha, down in Perth there, and they're just great, man. They have heaps of different guests on. Whitey was just on Ninja Warrior again. He was on it like last season. He was on this season again. Did really well. Just cool guys, man. They're all about the positive vibe moving forward. Community, WA community. Just love what they're doing. Love their work. I'd love to actually, I'd love to be able to catch up with those guys and have a chat to them on the podcast one day. It's sort of one of my little podcasting dreams, actually. And I do have a hook up there, fella from Lit, who's a mate of mine who was on the podcast before. He does a podcast with them and knows those guys. So who knows? One day, if we get enough followers, enough listeners, I could make a big enough splash to tee that up. And that's really the last thing I wanted to go into, man. Kicking off towards this goal to go around Oz. The big goal for me to do is the podcast as I go around, chat to interesting people in interesting places, do it a couple of times a week, really pump out some content, double it up with the YouTube series that goes along with it, following our travels. And I've got a lot of work to do as far as getting my cameras work sorted and building my following up. So that's a big one. So if you do listen to this, man, and you tell your mates about it, please, because just to go on Instagram and check out my page, follow me on Instagram, get people to check out the podcast. Again, even if you don't have time to listen to podcasts all the time, just give it a follow, mate. Check out the Insta, give that a follow. I need to get those numbers up so I can start getting bigger guests and start getting more interest in the thing, start making a bit more of a splash, get people interested to come on here. And one of the first things they do is they check out your Instagram. They see there's bugger all numbers on there, and it's a bit of a sticking point. So, and it's what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So for me, to get more interest, I need to have more followers on that page. To have more followers on that page, I need more interest. So it just has to start somewhere. So I really appreciate you telling your mates about it, telling them to check out the Instagram page, Average Man Podcast. Just give it a follow. It doesn't fucking hurt you. You just chuck it on follow, mate. And I don't overpost. I'm not an oversharer. And just help me get those numbers up. It's somewhere to start. And I need to really start pushing that. So I would really appreciate that. And share this episode when you listen to it. Appreciate it, guys. That's how you can help me, right? By the way, I'm saying that straight out. That's how you can help me get exposure. Share it to your mates. Share it on Facebook when you listen to it. Share the episode on your Facebook page. Tell your mates about me. Tell them to check out the Instagram page and give it a follow. And just help me get those numbers up. That'd be great. Appreciate your time. Episode 100. Woo! Heaps of fanfare. Just me sitting in a caravan talking shit on my own. Love you guys. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it. And I'll see you all next week. Peace out.